Welcome everyone. Welcome to Wednesdays with EWAT, English with a Twist. This is Shanti Kumaraswamy Street, your business English trainer, calling from London, Wednesday the 30th of August. How's everyone doing? We're looking at lesson 37 in the series. Now we're live and I'm not sure whether people can see me. I'm just adjusting my seat here. And I'm hoping people will start looking in. Wonderful. Hello, everyone coming in slowly but surely. So what's it like where you are? It's 30th of August, Wednesday. It is the end of August already. Some of you are already back from holiday. Maybe you're just finishing, or maybe you haven't actually had a holiday yet. Maybe you'll be going in September. Whatever you're doing, let me know. So I'm just going to swipe as I always do to see that who's actually online. So tell me where you're from, and if it's your first time here, then welcome to English with a Twist. A quick reminder to anyone who's new, not a reminder, just to inform you that English with a Twist is the place for you to be if you are someone who wants to feel equal to your English speaking colleagues in your profession, in your world of work. And then you're in the right place where you have to use English as a second language to communicate in professionally. This is where you're in the right place, because here I give you the tools and the confidence to communicate well, effectively, clearly, and with confidence. So that's where we are. So welcome to Wednesdays with EWAT. This is your time to interact with me live every Wednesdays here on Facebook. So let me know who's ever. I'm going to just refresh my Facebook page to see who's coming into the class. I can't see anything on on my phone, so I'll have to look it up on the computer. So let me check, and I'm hoping I can see some regulars. Let's have a look here. Right. Wonderful, Rosie is here, and it's your name day, Rosie. Okay, happy name day. Keiko, hi from Myanmar. I don't know why, Keiko, I thought you were in Japan, but there you are, you're in Myanmar. Genevieve, hi. Hey, hello, how are you? Hello from London to Malaysia. It's the eve of Malaysian Independence Day. Yes, 31st of August, Merdeka Day, right? Yes, so it'll be a bank holiday in Malaysia tomorrow. So my dad and my brother will be all off and yeah, celebrating away your independence from the British. A good time to celebrate, a good time. So, right, what are we talking about today on lesson 37? So we're going to be looking at job interviews, but more importantly, what happens after that important job interview. In other words, we're going to be talking about writing that important thank you note to your interviewer. So that was what we're going to be talking about today. Now, before I forget, and I always remind all of you, if you haven't signed up to the EWAT community, to join the EWAT community, please do so now or after this lesson. Just sign up and get your 4 bonuses. The first one being your free e-guide to the 10 ways you can become a more confident, clear, effective communicator in business. And then you get the other bonuses, which includes, of course, my weekly lessons that I deliver to you every Friday into your inbox. And just before we start, I have some exciting news, which as a subscriber to EWAT and an EWAT member, you will find out next Monday, the 4th of September. I will be introducing you to an emergency toolbox, your very own emergency toolbox that you will be able to use in different scenarios. So do watch out for that extra email that you'll get from me. So this is only for my subscribers. So if you haven't done so and you want to know all about this emergency toolbox, make sure you subscribe today, okay, and join the EWAT community. Okay, that's it. Gabriela, you've just joined from Argentina. Hello, lovely to see you. And we have Dia. Dia, how are you doing? I'm doing very well, thank you very much. And you? And where are you from? Beautiful pre-spring day. That's lovely, Gabriela. That's good to know. Because as I'm speaking, it is raining outside, outside my window. And my neighbors across the road are doing some construction work, and we've just had a burst water pipe, which means water is now gushing out from the road. So wonderful. Not only have we got rain coming from the sky, we've got rain coming up from the ground. Fantastic. Okay, let's get started. We are talking today about job interviews, but more importantly about what happens after that job interview. So let me ask you first of all, when was the last time you had a job interview? And after that interview, did you send a thank you note to your interviewer? Put it down in the chat box for me. Anyone did that? Anyone has ever written a thank you note to your interviewer? Oh, Azalea, lovely to see you. Yes, it's been too long. Hello, Mahmoud from Libya. Lovely to meet you. I don't know whether you've been already on EWAT. If you haven't, welcome to EWAT. So, okay, I've never sent, Olga, you said you've never sent a thank you note post-interview. Now, okay, and probably other people are going to be writing in. Okay, so my question would be, do you think you should have written a thank you note? Do you think it's a good idea to send a thank you note after a job interview? So please let me know. Now, I've read a number of articles about this, and people say that it is actually a must. It is good practice to send a thank you note to post-interview, so after your interview. But let's see why. I mean, why is that so important? Well, I mean, first of all, you know, everyone loves receiving a thank you note, whether you've done anything. But looking at it from a professional point of view, it shows courtesy. It shows that you're courteous. It shows that you appreciated the time the interviewer took to interview you. And finally, it also shows the interest you have in the job. And that, you know, you weren't taking it just lightly. You are showing definite interest. And you're probably going to be one of the few people who is going to send a thank you note. So you are going to stand out from the crowd. And that's always very good if you're looking for a job, to stand out. Because not only do you want to shine during the interview, but you also want to be remembered after. So that's great. Eman, it's been a long time. Oh, okay, good. Welcome back to EWAT. So good of you to join us. And oh, we shall overcome. I think I know who you are now. We shall overcome from Catalonia. Hi, Christina. Lovely to see you. Now, it depends on how the interview went. So, Rosie, it's interesting. Yes, good point. So, it depends on how the interview went. So, what? If it went badly, you're not likely to say thank you. If it went well and you think you stand a chance, then yeah, good point. Yeah, because if it was a really disastrous interview, maybe you don't really want to say thank you so much because you think, okay, I didn't do too well. Or maybe you even walk away thinking, nah, I'm not interested in that job in the end. You know, you sort of decide for yourself. But let's suppose that you are interested in the job. The interview did go well. You know, you think it went well. There was good positive feeling and vibes coming between you and the interviewer. And so you decide, you know what, I'm going to send that thank you note. So let's have a look at how we're going to do this. First of all, I'm going to be looking, because I've made some notes and actually I've written a post about this, which I will be sharing with you after this lesson. So you have a reference point to look back on. When should you, first of all, send this thank you note? I would say that we should send that note within 24 hours of the interview. So, you know, the sooner the better. Don't leave it too long, because then it starts sounding insincere. I'm just going to pause here. Cesar, hi. We're not used to sending this kind of letter after job interview. Maybe your phone call is more common, more popular, you're saying? You're from Venezuela, so it's not common, okay? It's not common practice to send a thank you note. Maybe you could start. Maybe it could be something different, but you'd actually phone them. That's interesting, because I don't think in Britain we would. I think we would send a thank you note. But see what's the difference, okay, between a phone call and a note, because there are lots of extra information you might want to add in a note. So let's look. First of all, when? Ideally within 24 hours of the interview. So the sooner the better. Now, what should you include in this thank you note? That's the next point, isn't it? Now, here's some tips I'd like to share with you. Immediately after the interview, it's always good practice to make some notes and impressions of how the interview went. Because just after the interview, that's when you're fresh, your ideas, you can remember. Because the longer you leave it, then the more likely you will have forgotten certain details. Things like, for example, think about the questions that you were asked. Think about how you answered them. Were you happy with the answers you gave? You know, so it's a bit like a self-evaluation that you're doing. Then think of the skills and responsibilities that were important to the interviewer that they seem to ask you about. So make a note of that. And these impressions, as I say, are very easily forgotten. So if you can write them down quickly soon after the interview, then it can help you. Then use these notes and these impressions to then help you write your thank you note, to personalize that note, because then you're referring to the interview and what happened at the interview. It's a bit like, for example, if you've been in a business meeting with a potential client, a new client, or an important client, and you are then summarizing the meeting. Now, if you leave that follow-up email for too long, you're most likely to forget details of what was discussed unless you made copious notes during that meeting. So, is it saying, does the letter have to become does it become an extension of the interview? It could do, and I'll show you how it could be. And Christina, you're saying it's always nice to be grateful. Yes, it is. It's courteous to show your appreciation that you were chosen and that you were interviewed in the first place. I think, okay, Dia is saying, regarding the job interviews for non-English speakers, I think it's need a special arrangement, self-confidence if the owners was English native. I'm not too sure what you mean by that, but I think maybe you need to just tell me a bit more what you mean by that. But, you know, we'll discuss it later, okay? So, you made some notes. Straight after the interview, you think about how things went and you know, was it good? Did you like it? And things that the skills and responsibilities that the interviewer was interested in, how you responded to certain questions, which ones went well, which ones didn't go well, you know, everything and anything you can think of that would help. And then there are 6 elements that you can include in this thank you note. And this is what I wrote also in my post. I'm going to go through them again. So the first one is show again your interest in the job. Yeah, because what you want to do is to let that person, that interviewer, know that you want the job. And so you can use your email message to establish that the meeting, the interview, confirmed your enthusiasm and the interest for the job. Yeah, because it might be that it doesn't, right? So then, okay, then we're not bothered with this thank you note. But if it is, then you want to say, after having met you, you know, I'm even more interested. So, and be specific and mention some information that the interviewer shared with you about the role, which made you even more interested in the job. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if you're thinking about it, you think, oh, he mentioned or she mentioned, you know, especially if you've asked questions about the role, and then you think, yeah, that sounds great, and I really like that. So let's have a look at an example sentence. What you could say is, your explanation of the critical role the person would have in introducing the next generation software made me even more interested and excited about the job, right? So maybe they talked about something specific about what the role would involve, what you as the person doing that job would have to do. And if it's something you're interested in, then say, yes, that made me even more, I was excited to hear about your plans for expansion, and, that even made me more interested. So you're picking pieces of information that came out of the interview that shows you were paying attention, you were listening, and involved and engaged in that interview. So show again your interest, number one. Number two, the second element, you want to tell them why you would be perfect for this job. So why this job would be an excellent fit for you. When we talk about an excellent fit, it would fit you so well. Imagine metaphorically, it's a jacket and you are putting it on and it just fits perfectly. So you are going to demonstrate to them why you would be ideal for this job. So, mention some of your key strengths, and it's no harm in repeating that, even though you mentioned it in the interview. So you could be saying, why you think you would excel in this role. Interesting. I'm just pausing here. Christina is saying interesting topic, but it's not used in Spain. I think it's part of British culture to say thank you. It's not the same, unfortunately, in my country. Okay. So you wouldn't actually say thank you to. Okay, but here's the thing. If you were, for example, working in a multinational company where your company has got English speaking elements to it, then yes, it is. But I don't know. It transcends cultures, doesn't it? No harm. But yes, it's not perhaps an expected thing. And this is what I'm saying. It's not necessarily expected. And please don't get me wrong. In Britain, in the UK, not everyone thinks of writing a thank you note to their interviewer. But this is something that we could consider. And if you did, this is how you'd want to structure it. It's entirely up to you. It's not necessity. It depends on really how important how much you want the job. But I completely understand your point, Christina. It is down to culture, what is expected in certain working cultures. And I completely get that, yes. And Rosie is saying perhaps we could adopt the British practice. Yeah, we could. Not everything British is good, right? But yeah, no harm in ever saying thank you. Nobody ever then would put it again to, put it against you that you wrote, a thank you note to them. Okay, as I said, number two, you're telling them why you are good for this job, why you'd be ideal for the role. So again, you think about your qualifications, you think about your skills and match it again to your position, just like you would have done in the interview. I'm hoping that you would have adapted and fitted your skills to the job position and the job responsibilities and requirements. So, example, you could say something like, after meeting with you or after meeting you, it is clear that this role would be an excellent fit given my flair for event planning, my ability to coordinate the activity of volunteers, and passion for creating publicity content. Okay, that's just an example, right? So you could say, but this particular role, given my talent or and you are boosting yourself. You've got to sell yourself. So no harm in repeating it to them, reminding them. Number three, add more information to support your suitability. It could be that during that interview, there were things you wanted to say, but maybe you forgot about, or maybe as you were thinking about it, or you ran out of time, or the interview came to a close, but you feel that there could be certain points or pieces of information that you want to share with your interviewer that they should know about you. So use that opportunity, that thank you note, to cover that. So it could be maybe a skill that wasn't discussed in the interview, but you feel is relevant during, for this particular job. Or it's also an ideal time to provide an answer to maybe a question you found difficult to answer at the time of the interview. Yeah, so if you think, maybe I didn't make myself too clear in that situation, so the note gives you that opportunity to go over that point. Not in an apologetic way, but more about, maybe I need to expand on this a bit more. So let's see. Maybe you forgot something. So say you've forgotten something and you think, I must mention it because I know that is a requirement they have. So you could say, I neglected, or I failed to mention that I completed an advanced Excel workshop and feel very confident in my ability in generating spreadsheets with complex macros. I don't know, maybe you took a particular course and you think it would be relevant for them to know that. So that means that they don't have to train you on that, but maybe you forgot during the interview. The next point is where perhaps, again, you want to be satisfied with the way you answered a particular question. So you could say, I have given further thought about the question you asked me about how I would plan and organize the team in my first month. And if hired, and so then you could do that. And you could say, another thing I would do is to meet with each staff member to hear their appraisal of the strengths and weaknesses of the unit. So, you could just say, I didn't really explain, I just thought about another way I could do something. So what you don't want, though, of course, is to say, I'm sorry, I didn't explain that very well. Let me explain it again. No, you're just adding some extra information to that. So there's a way that you could turn it so it's looking positive. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, but there's also this extra bit. Never know. It might work. So Rosie is saying, so in the end, the thank you note is just an excuse to push your case. So very British. It is, I don't know about the so very British, but Rosie, you're right. In the end, your thank you note is your opportunity, of course, because why not? Why not give yourself that extra opportunity, particularly if it's a job you really want. If it's a job you don't care about, then no, this lesson is irrelevant for you. You're thinking, I'm not going to say thank you. I'm not interested in the job. But absolutely, I've had that. I've had where I've gone to interviews and I really enjoyed it. Maybe enjoy is a bit too strong a word, but I really would love to work for that company, or I'd really love to get that job because the role, the position really interests me. It's where I want to be. So after that interview, you're not begging, so there is a fine line. You're not begging for the job, but you do want to show your interest, your enthusiasm. At the same time, you're taking that extra opportunity to show how you are good. And just to remind them, because don't forget, a lot of interviewers, they see a lot of candidates. They will see a lot of people. And if people, sometimes if you've ever been an interviewer, many people, they all sort of merge into one. And there's, there can be a danger of you being forgotten. Particularly also, English is not your first language and you do want to stand out, and maybe the interview was one way. Why not use that thank you note, that written note, to add and give yourself that time to add extra that maybe you weren't able to cover. So I don't make any apologies for this. I think it's an excellent way. It's all about selling ourselves, marketing ourselves, because if we don't do it ourselves, nobody else is going to do it for us. So it's not very British, because the British don't necessarily like to market themselves or wave a lot of flags. I think it's something that's come predominantly from the Northern American market, but it's something that gradually, as we've seen how successful businesses have developed, that it's all in the marketing. It's all in how you present yourself and how you talk yourself up in a good way. You're being sincere, you're being honest, you're not inflating what you can do, but you are showing your enthusiasm. And let's face it, if you're an employer, you are employing a dozen people or more, and you are going to get all these candidates who don't show a lot of enthusiasm. You're going to want someone who's showing some enthusiasm, but that enthusiasm has to be sincere. And you know, why not? I say go for it. Element 4. Providing, this also gives you an opportunity to provide information that maybe your employer asked. Your interviewer, not your employer, your future employer, hopefully. Maybe they asked you for some information, some extra information. So then the thank you note gives you that opportunity to send an email with an attachment if they needed some extra bits or whatever. You know, or maybe, yeah, they just needed to get some examples or documentation, whatever it is. So it's a good opportunity to, you know, follow that up. The 5th element is, and again, I think Rosie will be saying that, you know, she'll say, okay, this is really pushing it, is ask for the job. No harm in saying, you know, yeah, you know, I'd love to be hired. Okay, that might be out of your comfort zone. And I know for a lot of people it would be. So, you know, again, do what is natural, comes naturally to you. Because you could make it clear that you want that job, and that, you know, and some people say it doesn't hurt to be direct. You know, there's an expression in English that if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. I think when you're young, we are more insecure, we are more uncertain about our skills, and especially, and also people, if you've had a career break and then you're going back into the world of work, or maybe you've been in a situation like I've been in the past, where you lose your job, you're made redundant, and you're starting over again. There's a loss of confidence. So then asking for that job, or saying, you know, I'd love this job, thank you, you know, I think I'm really well qualified and I'd love this job, you know, I think I could do really well in it, and I'd love it. And you know, then what? What can they say? What's the worst they can say? Sorry, no. Right, well, okay, it might be disappointing, but you know, you haven't offended anybody. You're just showing your enthusiasm. But I think that does come with confidence, with age, with experience, that you finally think, you know, I'm good at this. I know I can do this. And so I want to show these people I can do it. So, no, Rosie, you didn't offend my Britishness. The British are never offended. Anyway, but I'm just sort of partly British. Okay. Eman, you're saying, right, if you don't market yourself, how? You market to the work you applied for, right? Okay, yes, how are you going to market the job? Yeah, how are you going to sell the job, right? Promote the role you're doing. Is that what you're saying, Eman? So if you can't market yourself, how are you going to market the company? Yeah, but it's very, very difficult. Some cultures do not encourage, you know, external, not external, I can't find my word, you know, sort of outward signs of being too confident. They don't like overconfidence. So there is, there are ways you can be confident without being boastful and saying, oh, I'm just so great, I'm brilliant. No, you're not. But there are ways that you can do that. So ask for the job if you're brave enough to ask for the job. And finally, of course, thank them for the opportunity of, being in front of them and to be interviewed by them. So, and thank them for being considered. And again, remind them that you're very interested in the job. Now, if they're really impressed, they'll call you in for a second interview. Or straight down to offering you that job. No harm done. Great, good job, you've done it. If anything, it will also give you experience in how to pitch yourself, market yourself, because in life, that's what we always have to do. Wherever we are, we're always selling ourselves. Don't forget that, okay? When we're engaging in small talk, when you're giving a presentation, when you're in just having coffee with people, new people, and you're talking, you're introducing yourself, we're always trying to promote a positive image of ourselves. And so to always show, who we are, what we do, what our skills, what do we bring to the group of people you're speaking to. Or what we say in English is the idiomatic expression, what do we bring to the table? All right, so you've got those 6 elements. So let me recap those 6 elements, as I said, and I'm just going to go through them. Show again your interest in the job. Tell them why that job is an excellent fit for you. Because you just think, yeah, because you remember, you think you'd be brilliant. You'd be great at it. Add more of information. So if you've missed out some information or you don't feel you answered something really, completely enough, then do it. Give them information if they ask for information from you, and ask for the job if you feel brave enough to ask for the job, and just say, I think this is a perfect fit for me. I am so excited. I love your plans, your future plans. I love the whole idea, blah, 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 whatever you want to say, and then say, I'm, really looking forward to receiving an offer. I don't know. I think maybe I wouldn't be as brave, perhaps, but there are different ways you can say it. I'd be delighted, I just can't wait to hear from you, and I really hope that, it's going to be good news. Then they go back and say, no, sorry. Okay. Never mind. And then thank them for the opportunity. In whatever way you want to include in this thank you note, you need to remember a few things. And this is email etiquette. Always use a professional subject line in your email, because the thank you note at the end of the day is going to be an email. So make sure you have the job title, or refer to the interview, give the date or whatever, and say thank you for the interview. So make it very clear in your subject line, okay? Don't forget your subject line. Be brief and concise. Having said that this is what you want to include, make sure that you're not writing a very long email. I'm just stopping here. So you're saying, Eman, you're saying one of the important things is to exaggerate your experiences but not tell lies. Yeah, you don't quite want to exaggerate them. There's a fine, you can talk them up. You can talk them up. You can show what your experience is, but you have to relate those experiences to the job they're looking for, to the role, and what the role and the responsibilities of that role is. So don't just go randomly choosing all your experience and your skills. You've got to match it to what they are looking for. And that's why also making notes straight after that interview is important, because you will get more of an idea of what they're looking for in that person, and you can then match it. Sometimes we are good at thinking on our feet during the interview, but sometimes we're not. So if you feel that you missed out on certain elements, this thank you note gives you that opportunity to go back and tell them. But don't exaggerate. Give them the truth, of course, but you're matching. Now, I know I've been coaching a couple of clients this summer on their job interview tactics, and some of them went through recruitment consultants. Now, when you have recruitment consultants, recruiters or headhunters, they'll give you information about the skills and the requirements of the role, but they often don't give you as much information as, of course, the interviewer will give when you get there. Now, my experience has always been that often the headhunter, the recruiter, has a bit of information, but not everything. And so you prepare for the interview, and then when you arrive at that interview, you then discover there are certain things that are different to what you were told by the headhunter and the recruiter, and it puts you at a disadvantage. You suddenly feel, oh no, okay, now how am I going to adjust my response? And I've seen this time and time again. I had another situation with another client, and her interview just didn't go, she felt, because the recruiter hadn't really given her the full picture. So how we can maybe deal with that situation is with this thank you note. Because if you at that point thought I was not quick on my feet to answer those questions, maybe this thank you note will give you that opportunity to do so. So that's another point I think that is very important, which is what happens so often in business. That, recruiter gives you one thing and then you speak to the interview, they go, oh no, we don't want you to be doing that. You'll be doing this. And then you realize, oh, okay, well, I haven't prepared for that. And that's really horrible. Right, so there you go. So that's another point. So going back to what you need to make sure is be concise and brief. So not a long email. Make sure your structure is good. Paragraphs, bullet points if you need to, but focus on thanking them and reiterating your interest, so repeating your interest in the job, okay? And then you can include some information, but in brief paragraphs. So don't go through your entire interview again, but what think about what you want them to remember and what you want to highlight. But again, brief and concise. Imagine they receive a lot of emails. Edit, edit, edit. That email is important. So make sure that you double check your email, double check your spelling, double check the grammar, and that you've got, above all, your interviewer's name right. It's amazing how some people, they'll just write, and they misspell the interviewer's name. You remember that lesson we had on say my name right or write my name correctly? You want to do that because there's nothing worse than an interviewer seeing that and you got their name wrong. So make sure you've got that right. So if you're not sure it sounded wrong, make sure you ask for a business card before the end of the interview. So you got it. Then you've got it correctly written out and And proofread your email before you send it, and send yourself a blind copy so you can see it. Yeah, and again, you don't need sophisticated language and you don't need a wide vocabulary. Keep it simple in the sense of stick to the language you know. Don't try and make complex sentences. The important thing is that your grammar and your spelling are correct. There are a lot of sample templates out there on the internet to see how you can write thank you notes. So check them out if you want to know how to write something. And then just test it. But, make sure you've got those key elements in there, and then you can cover that. And that's it. That's just sending your thank you note. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but I think I'd be interested to know if you've ever done it or you do try, what response you get. And I would be amazed if you don't get a positive response. You might not necessarily get the job, but you will certainly have stood out. You would certainly be remembered more than maybe someone else who didn't bother sending a thank you note. Azalea is saying the letter would be your mark besides the interview. Yes, of course. So I think the thank you note has a lot to offer, as I've already talked about. It gives you that opportunity to add information, to show your courtesy, to show the interest in the job, to show how good you are or how you fit well in that job. And so it has plenty of opportunities for adding to the chances of you being asked in for a second interview or being offered the job immediately after. You know, who knows? But, you know, it's worth trying out if you feel that your working culture is, you know, it's expected, or, you know, even if it's not expected, I think it's always refreshing to see something different. I remember when I was coming out of fresh from university, so you're pretty green meaning you're fresh, you have no experience, and people were trying to find innovative, creative, weird, wonderful ways of sending their CV to lots of people. And, you know, so they're trying to do something different in that CV, because if you imagine, CV gets sent, people receive lots of CVs, they're opening it up. And I remember one person saying they sent a tea bag, so you've got the bag with tea leaves in it, and sent it and said, you know, please have a cup of tea whilst you read my CV. Now, might be the CV was nothing good or whatever, but, you know, you're original, you're doing something different. So no harm in being original, even if English is not your first language. There are so many different ways you can do that. And even if English is not your first language and you maybe don't feel as confident, it doesn't mean that you can't try. And who knows, maybe you would find it, you know, a great way also practicing your English, because a thank you note to an interviewer can then lead on to writing thank you notes after you've had a meeting with people, after you've had an important meeting with clients, after you've been invited to a business lunch. And so thank you notes, if you get into the practice of writing thank you notes, that helps in developing that skill in writing thank you notes. Even if maybe your culture doesn't expect it. But if you are going to be dealing with English-speaking colleagues and clients, they are more likely to expect it. So no harm in getting into that practice. Oh, Roberto, thank you so much. He likes my necklace. Oh, I'm glad I put it on just for all of you, my EWAT members. Sumesh, hi, the job market is down. No expansions, only replacements. Right, okay. So they're not getting in new people. It's just where people are losing their jobs or resigning, and then they get replaced. Otherwise, the job market is not growing. Yeah, so even more reason why a thank you note would be essential to stand out, to make that impression, that very important impression on the interviewer. Because not only is your chance in front of them face to face, it's also after. So there you go. But try it. Good luck. Now, on the question of interviews, talking about job interviews, as I say, if you're a member of my EWAT community, then you're in for a special surprise, because I will be introducing you to my new emergency toolbox. And this will be an emergency toolbox that also helps you, amongst other things, in interview preparation. So I will be announcing this emergency toolbox and presenting it to you next Monday, 4th of September. So check out your inbox, your email, if you are a member of my EWAT community. So it's only going out to my EWAT members. If you are not part of the EWAT community, I suggest very strongly that you join the EWAT community today, so that you will receive my special email introducing you to your very own emergency toolbox that's going to help you out in those moments when suddenly your mind goes blank, or you really have to prepare for certain situations and you need the emergency tools to fix those moments. So don't forget to sign up, because otherwise you're not going to see it, and I will be talking more about that. In the meantime, anyone? Keiko, you're saying, let me see, what's everyone been telling me? Keiko, you're saying being different from others means standing out from the crowd. You stand out from the crowd. Yeah, and no harm. We don't have to be outrageous. We just have to be different. Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, we all want to try and be a little different from each other. And find it in your own way. We're all unique individuals. So find it in you. What makes you different? If you imagine, employers, interviewers always ask you, why are you good for this job? Why should we hire you? Well, think about it. Why? So at the interview, you will have probably had to answer that question. A thank you note might give you some time to let me reiterate the reason why you should hire me. Yeah, because they will probably go on to the next candidate to interview. So no harm. Christina, thank you so much for joining the class. Let me just see anybody else who came up with comments that I can share your comments. You know, I'm always saying to people, thank you so much for all your comments. Oh, I can't see all my comments. This is very annoying. But there you go. That's today's class. That was lesson 37. I do have a couple of announcements. Apart from this special email that'll be coming out on the 4th of September. Next week, 6th of September, and the following week, Wednesday the 13th of September, there is not going to be any Wednesdays with EWAT lessons. So no lesson next week and no lesson the week after. I'm very, very sorry, but I'm going to be traveling to Milan, and I have some important meetings, and so I won't be available to take this lesson. So Wednesdays with EWAT will come back for lesson 38 on the 20th of September. So make a note in your diary, 20th of September. What I will though do is share with you some of the archive lessons, and I'll share them on the Facebook page so you get to see them. But in the meantime, I hope you have a very good start to September. And if you're going back to school, work, if you're teachers and going back to school, if you're at university, you're going back to university, coming back from holidays and, you know, going back. Or maybe you're one of those lucky few who take your holidays in September. I will be in Milan. I will be in Italy. So the next time we see each other on the 20th of September, I will be in Milan, where then I will be talking about another subject. If there is a topic that you would like me to discuss and share with you and teach you, then please share that with me, whether through my email, shanti@englishwithatwist.com. If not, here on the Facebook page, send me a comment and I will see what I can do, and I'll prepare a lesson just for you. In the meantime, take care. I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Is it 2 weeks? 1, 2, 3. 20th of September for lesson 38. In the meantime, this is me, Shanti Kumaraswamy Street, your business English trainer at English with a Twist, saying ciao for now. See you soon. Ciao. But don't forget, keep studying your English. Bye.